Teal dear, the Daily Mail author Simon Murphy is a liar, a hypocrite, and an idiot. Now let me show you all of the reasons that I have come to that conclusion. So you may have heard recently a little bit of drama floating around the internet involving this news article from the Mail Online entitled "Google Blood Money. Web giant cashes in on vile 7-minute video showing knife expert penetrating a stab vest like the one worn by murdered Westminster PC. German weapons expert uploaded sickening how-to-stab video on YouTube. George Sprave given award by social media giant for getting 1 million subscribers. But he shows people how to plunge a knife through protective body armor. Video was online for 6 months despite warnings jihadis used it for training. The reality is that this is nothing more than a slanderous, libelous hit piece. The video in question is not a how-to-stab guide, it is a consumer product review, specifically and rather unsurprisingly about a so-called stab-proof vest that this gentleman in question purchased off of Amazon. Now, if you want to do a consumer review on a stab-proof vest, you're going to have to ascertain whether or not said stab-proof vest actually performs the task that it claims to do. That is, to resist being stabbed. And as per the video demonstration, it was made abundantly clear very quickly that this stab-proof vest failed at its one fundamental job. And a later strip down of the product that Mr. Sprave did then demonstrated why this stab-proof vest failed to perform its function. And the answer was really rather simple. The metal plate insert that was inside the vest was made out of a flimsy sheet of aluminium, not a thicker or more robust metal such as titanium or steel, or any other of the myriad of far more effective materials that modern stab-proof vests actually use. In essence, this independent consumer test discovered that a product was not fit for purpose. Now, in a normal world, that would be considered a very helpful piece of information. Consumers who would possibly be considering buying this product now have a much better idea of what it is actually capable of stopping and can thus make a more informed decision about whether or not to purchase said item. But according to the idiot working at the Daily Mail, this was not the case. Instead, they attempt to paint this man as if he is some sort of lone crazed hermit living in a wood, teaching people on the internet how to murder others. Here's a little quote from the article. In the film, Sprave stands in a wooded area of his back garden in southern Germany, explaining to viewers how they can modify a knife and its handle so it can be used to pierce a protective vest. The one he uses is similar to the vests worn by Metropolitan Police officers. He thrusts the knife through the stab vest, which is attached to a makeshift dummy. Wow, look at that. I pierced the safety vest, he boasts, adding, as you can see, it definitely pierced deep enough to cause major harm. Well, that doesn't sound so bad, does it? If you're testing a stab-proof vest by stabbing it, and your stab happens to penetrate the vest, what else are you going to say? The Daily Mail even interviewed Mr. Sprave, in which he sounded even more reasonable. He was quoted as saying, "I just want to show that people who wear these vests should not feel invincible. They are still vulnerable. These vests should not be described as stab-proof. I just like to test things and make videos to review all kinds of things like cameras, knives, and air guns. If they change police equipment because I have shown it is vulnerable, then I may be saving some lives." Wow, that is a spokesperson for ISIS if I ever heard one. So we can already see the lies being spread by this reporter. First of all, they have lied about the vest being used, which is in no way similar to the Metropolitan Police vests, and Mr. Sprave did not explain how you can modify a knife and its handle to pierce a protective vest. He basically just lunged at the damn thing, in a pretty similar way that any attacker who has absolutely no idea what they're doing would do. And this sort of testing actually serves a very important purpose, and highlights what Mr. Sprave said in his interview with the Daily Mail, that people who wear these vests should not feel as though they are invincible. The Home Office Scientific Development Branch actually has quite rigorous standards, and a variety of categories for different kinds of stab-proof attire. And it's divided into multiple categories: the broadly anti-stab vest, highlighted in the yellow on this table, and then varying degrees of knife-resistant and spike-resistant, all broken down in the table below, and then the estimated joules of force needed to thrust said implement through the vest, giving you different degrees of penetration. The maximum penetration which is allowed, which is Impact Energy Strike 1, is 7mm, which means that at maximum the blade will pass through and then go 7 extra millimeters beyond the actual vest, which would result in, at worst, a shallow wound. And at best, no penetration because it would still have to go through all of the layers of clothing underneath the vest. The Impact Energy Strike 2 is an overpressure test, and that is designed to test the absolute breaking point of the armor, and it is deemed that the armor is broken at a 20mm penetration, that is, a blade which passes through the vest and then goes 20mm into the target behind as well. And these standards are very similar to those used by the National Institute of Justice in the United States. And this table here is actually particularly useful, not just for the table but for the line above, which demonstrates exactly what this YouTuber was doing. Because as you can see, in the US version of the chart, we have 3 levels here, and the levels were derived from a study where several stabbing techniques of a male attacker were used for the force generated. In general, level 1 is designed to handle 85% of force level encounters, level 2 90%, and level 3 96%. It also even states on this website a very important truth. No armor is 100% stab-proof, and it even highlights that axes, hatchets, claw hammers, bayonets attached to rifles, spears, unusual amounts of pressure or force, or basically any type of weapon which isn't a small knife, can absolutely defeat any stab-resistant body armor. While stab-resistant vests will defeat most common threats, no vest on Earth makes you invulnerable. And with that fact in mind, it is very important to rigorously test these products so that you know exactly what they can take. So how do the police professionally test stab vests? They have some guy stab them. All Mr. Sprave has done here is copy the techniques used by the police to test their own stuff. And then he has taken those results and posted them up on the internet so that any consumer looking at this product can make as an informed decision as possible. There's nothing nefarious about it, there's no training about it, there's no terrorism involved. And yet, according to Simon Murphy, the absolute moron working at the Daily Mail, that's what's happening here. And in order to make this connection, he has tenuously linked this video to the recent London terrorist attack, in which a police constable was stabbed to death by a follower of the religion of peace. But you know what, Daily Mail? I'm gonna play your game for a little bit here, just for fun. I am going to engage in some Daily Mail level journalism. So I couldn't help but notice that in the London terrorist attack, a car was used to attack several of the victims. I wonder if there's any footage available on YouTube of cars being tested for impacting pedestrians. Hey Daily Mail, I think I've just found a terrorist training camp on YouTube. It's called Euro NCAP. They claim to be crash testing cars for safety reasons, but I can see through this charade. This is clearly training Islamic terrorists in how to murder pedestrians by using vehicles. It's got nothing at all to do with safety testing these products. These videos in no way mathematically formulate how human bodies will roll across a bonnet when struck, so that car manufacturers can better design crumple zones so that injuries are less likely, or so that cars of the future may have automatically self-raising bonnets to ensure that when the metal crumples as a pedestrian rolls over the front of the car, that they're not going to bow through the metal and then strike the solid engine underneath. And it's absolutely not helping car manufacturers come up with novel ideas such as external airbags to cushion the head and neck of anyone struck by the car. Nope, this is vehicular terrorism training 101. While we're talking about people instructing others in how to carry out acts of terrorism, and how that is the complete and utter polar opposite of what Joerg Sprave was doing on his YouTube channel, maybe we should take a little look at the history of the reporter of this article. You know, Simon Murphy, the guy who demonstrated how you can smuggle pocket knives onto aeroplanes, and in his article on the subject, told you exactly how he did it. Turns out it wasn't that hard, you just buy them in the shop and walk straight through onto the plane with them, but he still told you exactly how you would go about doing this. Or what about this article that he did where he bought a 3D printed gun onto the Eurostar train? Not only did he do that, but in his article on the subject, he actually has a handy-dandy little infographic here, which tells you how you can make one yourself, with all the components printed out nice and clearly labelled for you there. Ah, Babby's first train hijacking kit. They grow up so fast. And in this article, you even tell everyone reading it, you don't have to worry about those pesky metal detectors because this'll go right on through them. Must be really fun living in that glass house accusing everyone else of publishing methods by which people can commit acts of terrorism. But you're a bad boy, aren't you, Simon? You don't play by anyone's rules but your own. So as a result of an article being published by a lying hypocritical fool, George Sprave had his video taken down by YouTube and a strike made against his channel, which after a great deal of support from various other YouTubers was fortunately reversed. With all of the nonsense that we've seen over the past few weeks along these lines, it appears that this may very well be the future of YouTube. Hit piece after hit piece after hit piece written by journalists, and YouTubers having their lives messed up as a result of the persistent lies. What a time to be alive.